I want to come in here and answer some financial questions. Now, just so you know, this is part of Ask Dr. Boyce. Those of you that are signed up, you've sent me questions, so I'm going to answer all the questions right now in rapid fire succession. I have about 35 questions. I don't know if I'm going to get through 35, but those that want to just kind of listen in, this might give you some financial information. This week, the big story, the big conversation has been around Robinhood, Stash, Acorns, and basically this whole democratization of finance and basically these commission-free trades. Commission-free trades, you got to watch out for that because as we talked about earlier, the commission-free trades basically means that Robinhood's making this money somewhere. And where they seem to make their money is from either options or getting a return on cash that they might hold in cash management, or more importantly, their order flow. So when they send your order out to the broker, they send your order to the broker that pays them the most money, not the broker that gives you the best price. So that's something that you may want to think about. Is that a big deal? I don't know, but I certainly am a believer that this week with Robinhood, that their financial arrangement with Citadel might have played a big part in their decision to cut trading the way that they did, which happened to favor the Wall Street billionaires. Now, is this a systematic bias that affects all trading systems throughout the world? No, this is just Robinhood and Citadel. So anybody who has a Robinhood account, many of you do, you may want to look into getting something outside of Robinhood because it sounds like Robinhood's got some compromising financial relationships that could cause problems if you ever have another rebellion like you did on Reddit. Now, the thing about the Reddit rebellion as well, though, is that this won't be allowed to happen very often. Now you've got scenarios where NASDAQ has basically said they're going to monitor internet activity. And if they see somebody that looks like they're trying to move a stock price by getting a bunch of people together to all go buy the stock, then they may actually shut down the trading on that stock. Now, what you want to make of that, you can. But I just want to kind of break that down for you. I talk a little bit more about it on financialjuneteenth.tv.com. So feel free to do that, to take a look. Now, I've got your questions. I'm going to answer the questions that you guys submitted to me. If you'd like to submit questions, you want me to answer your question and use your name in the answer, just go to askdrboyce.com. You can actually get 70% off if you're not in there yet, and a 14-day free trial. So feel free to go to askdrboyce.com. All right. So the first question is from Marcia. She says, will you discuss put options in more detail? Must you own a lot of stock to use this option? Put options are basically a type of insurance. What put options do is they give you the right and the ability, not the obligation, to sell a stock at a certain price before a certain date. So the two key variables in a put option are the price that you can execute and the date where execution is no longer allowed. So basically put options, it's like life insurance or insurance on your house, where you buy a put option in case the price drops. That's what people tend to use it for. But some people buy put options for what they call speculation, meaning they buy it just hoping that the value goes up. Like a guy that I talked to, that's one of my students actually mentioned to me that he made, I think, almost $100,000 this past week on put options on GameStop because the stock was really volatile, and when a stock moves that much, you get a chance to make a lot of money. So put options can be used for speculation. If you want to know more about options and how they work, not just on the buy side, everybody talks about the buy side. I actually like to talk about the sell side because that's where the money's being made. A lot of the money's being made. Feel free to go to stockoptionsmasterclass.com. I did a masterclass on it, and the recording's still there if you want to go take a look at that. And the reason I like to be on the sell side is because what you're having right now in the market is a ton of trade and a ton of options activity. Everybody wants to go to Robinhood. Everybody wants to buy options because options give you the quick flip. So the volume of options trading, if I'm not mistaken, has gone up at least 50 or 60%, which means that people like me who sell options are really happy because it's kind of like if you have a store where you sell Air Jordans and suddenly everybody wants to buy a pair of Jordans, well, you're going to get rich by selling Jordans, not necessarily by buying the Jordans. So let me keep going. All right. So next question. Let me hit the delete button on this. Okay. So the next question that was submitted is a question from Remy Bonnie Smith. Remy Bond Smith says, after listening to you talk about Switch Corp, I tried to do some research on the company, but found nothing. Their website is down, and a couple sites say the company has no longer any operations. What evidence were you able to find to take a chance on that company? Just ignore that. Like, don't even look into that company. I actually made a mistake. I thought I had a different name of a different company, And I mentioned that one, and then I looked it up and realized, whoa, that's the wrong one. So again, this is not investment advice anyway. But I mentioned that company as a company that I thought would be a good investment, but it was another company, and I got the ticker symbol wrong or the name of the company wrong. So do not, I'm not telling you what to do. This is not investment advice. But no, that's not no. Don't invest in dead companies. But then again, that's kind of what they're doing on Reddit. They're resurrecting dead zombie companies, which I don't agree with that. Also, like Dogecoin. I don't know how many of you have bought Dogecoin, but Dogecoin's doing really well. It's skyrocketing. Well, there is no value in Dogecoin. Like Dogecoin pretty much doesn't exist. It's like, it's like spending $800 on a pair of Gucci jeans, right? Like Gucci jeans have no inherent intrinsic value. They're not going to make you any money unless you can find a bigger sucker to buy it from you at a higher price. That's the only way Gucci jeans will have value. So be careful with stuff like that. That's not a real investment. Pauline, Dr. Boyce, I retired at the end of the year 2020, and clearly retirement funds will not be enough to live a comfortable lifestyle. How can I go about achieving financial stability being retired at 59 years young? Well, the first thing you got to do, Pauline, anybody who's listening to this answer to Pauline's question, is you got to start before the age of 59. I mean, you're kind of giving like a really tough question, right? Because it's almost like somebody saying, I want to run a marathon tomorrow, but I've never jogged, I've never exercised in my life. How do I get ready to run a marathon tomorrow? Well, you can have the best track coach in the world, but the best advice they can give you is, well, you better get in the car. You better drive 26 miles. You try to run it. That's going to be tough, right? So it doesn't mean I'm demoralizing you and saying, oh, this does that you have no solution. But what I'm saying is that you can't start at 59 and pretend like you started at 22. Waiting to prepare for retirement is a massive mistake that a lot of people make. There's a big difference even between starting at 25 and 35. A 35-year-old who starts 10 years after a 25-year-old, even if they save twice as much, still can't catch up with the 25-year-old. Starting early is huge. That's why if you have children, get your children invested. Put wealth aside for your kids. My brother had a baby this week. That baby's already got more money than most adults because we started preparing for him before he was born, not after he was born, before he was born, because time is important. When you waste time, that's worse than wasting money. So do not waste time. Also, as you're investing and you're participating in all this stuff that's going on, I'm really ecstatic that everybody's talking about investing. I got a 17-year-old. He's asking me about GameStop and Robinhood and what's going on with the trade. And I think that's really awesome. The problem with that you got to just watch out for is you got to make sure you know the difference between trading and investing. It's like the difference between having sex and making a baby. Having sex is required for you to make a baby, but having sex doesn't make you a parent, right? So those are two different things, two different goals. So when you're moving your money and you're making decisions, you got to decide, okay, am I making an investment or am I making a trade? The bulk of your money should be for investment. That's how rich people get rich. But if you want to have a little play money, a little funny money, a little money to the side that you want to shake the bones with, that's cool. Do that. But don't make that the bulk of everything you're doing. If you're doing mostly trading, mostly trying to do the quick flips and all this other stuff and treating the stock market like a casino, you will lose. This is not going to work. You are not an investor yet. Right? Just like if you tell a 20-year-old who says, yeah, man, I done hit it with 20 women or whatever. Like, no, you're still not a father. You're a horny 20-year-old. Like, that's easy to do, right? It's easy to be a horny 20-year-old. What's hard to be is to be a father, because that's when you become a real man. So do you understand? Give me a yes or no in the chat if you understand what I'm saying. So traders are not the same as investors. Trade if you want. That's fine. Trade. Everybody trades a little bit. Y'all know what I'm talking about. We've all traded in our lives, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink. But there's a point where you got to understand what it means to be a parent. And that means making the long-term investment, not just the short-term. Moving on. Next question is from, let's see here. Okay, what's your other C? This is from Nikita. Nikita says, I love the Be My program for my children. Is it possible to incorporate quizzes at the adult level in the masterclass on stocks? I could do that, actually. That's a good idea. In case you want to know what she's talking about about our Black Business School for Children, which is at blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. I'll put the URL on the screen so you can see it. That's blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. And it's really popular. There's a money back guarantee. You're going to like it. Your children are going to love it. We have educated hundreds of thousands of kids to be literally, they're going to be millionaires one day. Some of them are already making a lot of money. One of them, Constance Carter, told me that her son this month made, I think she said $17,000. But I believe it's actually 40. It's either 17 or 40. I can't remember. I don't know if I'm saying 17 because he's 17 years old, but he went through the program 4 years ago or 5 years ago when he was 12. And ever since, he's been killing it. He has more money than most adults. So if you want to go take a look, the program's at blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. There's a monthly option, payment plan, all that stuff for any budget. And also you can get your money back if you're not happy, but it's really, really good. Now, in terms of incorporating quizzes for adults, we're going to do that. I want to actually do that. I want to talk to the manager of the school and get her to implement the quizzes. We just haven't had a chance to do it yet, but I think that's something I could easily do. So her name is Carmelita. And also, if you ever have any questions, you can email support@theblackbusinessschool.com. And also on the website, theblackbusinessschool.com, there should be people there that can guide you to whatever you need. Okay, let's see. What are your thoughts? Dorothy says, what are your thoughts about Chinese electric car company Nio? Nio, I'm not sure. I want to see. I'm not sure. Has Nio started making cars and making money yet? I could have sworn that there was something about Nio where they weren't quite ready for prime time. Let me see. Is Nio profitable? Nio's total revenues are about $666 million for the third quarter of 2020, representing a 146% increase from the third quarter of 2019. Okay, so it looks like they're making money. That's good. Let me see what's happening with the stock, because the stock, I know that the options are really expensive, which means it's a pretty volatile stock. When I look over the past month or 6 months for Nio, I'll share my screen so you can see what I'm seeing here. Give me a second, guys. Hold on. All right, let's see Nio stock. Boom, 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 boom. There it is. Okay, so you see here for the last 6 months, the stock's had quite a run. It was down to $13 in August 2020. Now it's up in the 50s and 60s. If you go back, let's see, go back. Wow. Okay, so that's January 6th. So let's go back 1 year. So back here, you could have gotten it for $4 back in March, and now you're paying over $50 or $60. What this means when the stock price kind of takes off like that is that it means that a lot of people anticipate a lot of growth in the company, but that doesn't mean it's a good investment though. Good investments are where you can buy low, sell high. So if you bought it at a point where the growth has been impounded into the price to push it to unsustainable levels, then you might get caught holding the bag. You might be the person that loses your money. Like, for example, with this GameStop thing, a lot of people jumped in when GameStop had crossed like the $300 mark. I think that's too late because I don't think GameStop's going to 1,000 or going to 400 or 500 or 600. I think GameStop is probably more likely to go down than up, but I'm not here to predict that. I will say, if you want to know, I did, just to show you that we all do a little bit of trading and a little bit of investing. I took a little bit of my trader money and I did buy some GameStop. I bought some GameStop. I sold the call options, and then I bought some put options to protect me against the downside. I bought in about 113. I picked a strike price of about 140. The stock instantly passed 140, which pissed me off because it made me realize I could have had more money if I'd been greedier, but I'm not a greedy investor. I like to just get my money and walk away. But just with that little trade, that throttled investment, I made a killing. I mean, it was very easy to make money. I didn't know the stock was going to go from 113 to 3 something. If I'd known that, obviously I would have invested different. But who expects a stock that was previously worth $18 that goes to 113 to eventually be worth $200 and $300 a share? I mean, what's happening there is really crazy. And I understand why the regulators want to manage some of that, because you can't have every stock doing that. You know, you got people that have their retirement funds in the stock market, and you don't want to have a lot of crazy stocks like that, but you still want to have people with the freedom to trade. But I think that collusion of any form, where people say if they collude to, even whether you're talking about Robinhood traders or Wall Street hedge funds, if they collude and the intention is to create artificial value in a stock that has no value, then I think you have to question whether that is legitimate. I'm not dissing. I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. You can have your own view on that. But I think that I'd like to believe that prices exist for a reason, that there's a reason that one stock is priced higher than the other, and that reason goes beyond just, we just think that's a cool company. But then again, there's something to that, right? There's something to that. So someone mentioned buying their first share of stock. Yeah, there's a URL. If you go to firstsharestock.com, there's a free training there on how to buy your first share of stock. Also, if you're not on the list for the Black Business School, you can get on the list. You can get free stuff. We can get you started, and you can be an investor. It's very easy to do. And I'm glad everybody's talking about investing. I think it's great that, we have tens of millions of 20-year-olds who now know what a short squeeze is, because I got college graduates that didn't know what a short squeeze was, and now the whole world knows what it is. So this heightened interest in investing is great. There's room for it to be different from the way it was maybe in the 90s or before, because the world is different. I think that's fine. But some of the fundamentals don't change that much. Some of the fundamentals are still there. And you don't want the fundamentals to kick you in the butt when you swear that the world is different. All right. So Landre Bradley says, Hello, I'm an artist factory worker who started investing through Stash last spring before everything was shutting down. I started with a couple of ETFs and Moderna. Moderna was doing very well, but I'm not sure to sell and invest the profits or just keep it in there to see what happens. Well, how you approach that really is almost an act of faith, an act of religion. How does a Catholic deal with Christmas versus a Jewish person or versus, or a Muslim? It's all different, right? And it's all based on what you believe. So how you respond is going to come down to just how you feel. So I'll give you an example of how sentiment plays a part in how you might respond. Let's say I'm a person who believes in delayed gratification. I believe in, generational wealth, and that's the dominant part of who I am. I'm in it for everything for the long haul. I don't need the money. I'm patient, etc. Well, in that case, maybe I leave it in there, or maybe if I do sell, I put it into other stocks so I can be diversified. But maybe I'm a person who needs some cash. Well, if I need some cash, then maybe I shave a little bit off and sell it and get that cash and go do something else with it. So I could do it in different ways. It's like cutting up how do you cut your birthday cake? Right? There's no rule on how you do it. You do it the way you want. Some people like a square cake. Some people want a round cake. Some people want cupcakes, right? So basically you might say, I don't know. Let's say you put in 1,000 and it grows to 1,500. Well, you might say, let me take off the 1,500 and I'm going to enjoy that. I'm going to leave the 1,000 there so I can have a principal. I'm not going to eat all my seeds, right? Because remember, you chop down the apple tree, you have no more apples, right? So you got to kind of always have something growing, always have something invested. If you plant no seeds, you will have no harvest. So always make sure you give yourself a harvest in the future. Or another way you might do it is you might say, let me take out my principal and play with the house's money. I made 500. I'm gonna leave the 500 and take my other money back and do something else with that, right? Or maybe, you know what? I don't own a house yet. I'm a renter. I want to own a home. I've made 10 grand in the stock market. I'm going to take 8 grand or whatever out of that and take that over and go buy a home with that. Use that as my down payment on my house. Then I'll still be investing, but I'll be investing in something else. So how you approach it will depend on what your values are and what your needs are. So there's no right or wrong answer to that. It's really a matter of knowing yourself, knowing what you want, and knowing how to make moves that are going to put you in that position. Joselito Gonzalez asks, good afternoon. I'm a sole proprietor. I own a sole proprietor LLC real estate business and wanted to know if it would be beneficial for me to have the business purchase my current home I live in. Would I be able to get more tax benefits from doing so? If your home is being used for business purposes, you should probably talk to an accountant on that, first of all, right? But if you talk to your accountant will probably say that anything that your business buys that is used for your business can be written off and you're going to get a tax benefit. But if you're just going to buy your house in the name of your business, just because you think you can write off everything, every piece of your lifestyle, I'd be very careful with that. Because the main thing with the IRS, the big rule that I've observed, again, I'm not an accountant, I'm not a lawyer, but this is just my thought. What I've observed is that it comes down to whether or not you're using that thing for business. So I've seen people buy private helicopters and be able to write them off under their business because they were using the helicopter for business. I'm like, okay, I travel back and forth for meetings or whatever, right? So that's the key idea. Like the idea, the thing is that you don't want to go write something off or try to write something off for business that you're not using for business, because then you get in trouble with the IRS, and we don't want that for you. All right, next question is now, by the way, these questions are coming from Ask Dr. Boyce. You guys submitted these questions in advance. I'm going to go through all these questions. So if you put a question in the chat, I won't answer that because I want to show respect to everybody that joined and signed up and is putting their question in. If you'd like your question answered directly and you want to see the recordings of all the answers to all the questions I've done over the years, just go to AskDrBoyce.com and you can actually get 70% off if you go to AskDrBoyce.com and free stuff from the Black Business School. So even if you don't want to do the 70% off, you can still get free stuff from the Black Business School. So go sign up at AskDrBoyce.com anyway. Okay, next question is from Aryan, Aaryn, Wilson. When will the new stock options course be released, and will there be a discount for Black Wealth students? The answer is February, and yes. I'm going to offer a big discount. We do what we call 48 for 48s, where for 48 hours, we give you 48% off. And we're going to do that for early birds. And literally, I'm not going to take too many students in that class because I've never taught this particular class before. Like, this is really where I'm literally going to show you step by step exactly how my family actually makes its money from options and what we do and what I look for and how I do the process. And what I wanted to do is break it down into kind of a simplified framework, because sometimes my brain's all over the place because I shoved all this information in my brain and I don't want to confuse anybody, and I want to make sure everybody can understand what's going on. But basically, That's what I've been putting together for literally about 9 months now, is like a unified framework where I can explain it to a 5-year-old and then give you step-by-step where you can follow that process if you so choose to do so. I did that with stocks. We did a whole event, a whole weekend. I don't know if you guys remember that. Some of you were there, some of you weren't, where for the whole weekend, all we did was we went through what I call the Dr. Boyce method. Literally, that's trademarked now, on an 11-step process that I use to select the stocks I want to add to my portfolio. If you want to take a look, the URL is the drboycemethod.com. So feel free to go take a look. It's totally up to you. It's very, very good. Everyone loved it, and we had a great time. So feel free to take a look at that. Okay, next. Stacy Slaughter says, thanks in advance. I'm sure this is coming in the course, How to Buy Blank, but I was attempting to buy Tesla stock, and there was a warning about margins. I read about it on my TD Ameritrade platform, but I think I need to hear it in Uncle Boyce language. Okay, so margin is basically how much money you have to put up in order to make that investment. Companies, Robinhood and these other apps will give you margin. They'll allow you to buy stocks on margin, which basically means, the stock might cost $50, but they're like, okay, you just give us 25 and we'll let you buy the stock, and the rest you'll just kind of owe us. And then you have, maintenance margin, which says that, look, the losses are yours. As long as you pay the interest and you pay back the loan, we're good. But so the stock goes up, you're straight. But if the stock goes down, then that's on you. All losses fall on you. So if that $50 stock drops to $40, we still gonna get our 25. Like if we loaned you $25 to buy that stock, we're still gonna get our 25 plus interest, period. We don't care about your life. We don't care about your investments. We don't care what you do with the money. But as long as we get our 25 plus interest. So if the stock goes from 50 to 40 and you owe them 25, well, that means you now own 15. So they might do what they call a margin call, where they hit you up and say, hey, your equity in this investment has dropped below a sustainable level. So you need to either cough up some cash or sell this stock. This is the interesting thing about this Robinhood effect and GameStop and this volatility going up and down. They're going crazy trying to keep up with the margin requirements because this stock is up $100, down $100, up $100, down $100. And so they don't really know what to expect. And in the financial world, they kind of like the bankers and stuff. They kind of like stability. They like to protect and preserve their capital. So when they're loaning money, they don't like to see loan money for risky things. That's why when you buy a stock like Tesla, which is known for being volatile, they will give you a higher margin requirement, meaning that you're going to have to put up more money to make that investment. You're not going to get the same allowance or the same amount of debt allowed to buy Tesla as you would get to buy, Apple. Right, Apple's a lot more stable than Tesla, so that's the best way to explain it. And so and be careful with the margin, because the margin's good in terms of helping you flip, but it's also bad if things don't go so well and you don't want to get hit hard. Anyway, next question. Natalia Chapman says, "Hello, Dr. Boyce. I was wondering if you'd heard of an ILO initial license offering, and if you think this is a good investment opportunity." You know what? I don't know much about ILOs. I'm going to write that down because I want to look that up. I know about initial coin offerings and IPOs, of course, but I don't know what an initial license offering is, Natalia. So if I don't answer that in the next couple of weeks, just ask it again. By then I'll know. I wrote it down. I'm going to look it up because I don't know much about it. All right, next question. Stephanie asked, you talk about investing for children, how to invest $5 a day for our children. I'm very interested, but I do not know where to go. You are using an annuity calculator to prove your argument. In which financial company can I open an account for my children and invest daily? Well, first of all, Stash has what they call custodial accounts that you can put in the names of your kids. What a lot of parents do is they just go ahead and they just, invest for themselves and then put that, put in your trust with, or whatever it is that you're going to have that's going to be that's going to happen if you die. Just put it in there that if something happens, the kid's going to get a certain amount. They're going to, and in the trusts are pretty good because you can actually set up rules for what's going to happen to the money when it's done or when you're gone. As far as the $5 a day investment plan, the URL, if you want to go take a look at that, is if you go to theallblackagenda.com. That's the one place I know where you can actually pick up a copy. Let me put the URL on the screen. There we go. Theallblackagenda.com. That's where the $5 a day investing plan is. And basically that is a clear, direct path out of poverty. Like literally, if you live in the land of broke acidness and you want to get out, that is the road out of town, right? That literally is the road out of town. It's a long road, but it's still the road that works. So feel free to go to the allblackagenda.com. It's right there, along with a lot of other resources that are free or cheap that you can actually pick up and use to build your family wealth or make your family better, period. Karen Rose. Hi, Dr. Watkins. I've been a member for several months and have not gotten a link to any of your Q&A responses. Also, I'm not sure if I've missed it in the curriculum, but how do you choose which stocks are good and which is a strategy for picking good stocks? Okay, first of all, Karen, I am going to send this link out. I send this link out to everybody that's enrolled in the Black Stock Market Program or Ask Dr. Boyce. So you should get a link to the Q&As. If you don't, you can always log in at AskDrBoyce.com, or you can log in at the BlackStockMarketProgram.com, which has free access to Ask Dr. Boyce, right? So it's right there. It's all stockpiled. If you have any questions, any issues at all, we have a whole team of people waiting right there to answer all of your questions and make sure you're 100% happy. Just email support@theblackbusinessschool.com. That's support@theblackbusinessschool.com. Now, the other thing you said, how do you choose which stocks are good and which ones are bad? That's a little more complex than because the thing is it's like picking a house or something. It's hard to explain in 3 minutes how to pick a house. So one thing you might look at if you're in the Black Stock Market Program, there is information there about how to do that, or you can go to the drboycemethod.com. I literally lay out an 11-step process on how I pick stocks. So feel free to go there. But generally it depends because the reason it's hard for me to tell you exactly what to do is because it depends on, what you're trying to accomplish. It's like asking, which direction should I drive my car? Well, where are you trying to go? How fast do you like to drive? Or what's the weather like? What city do you live in? Things like that. So basically, what you might start with in the beginning, just to be safe, is something like a simple index fund or, mutual funds are great because then you're handing your money to the experts that you trust and they're managing it for you, right? That might be the best way to go. But then some people like to be a little more hands-on. They like to pick themselves. So it's totally up to you. Okay, next question. All right. So let me move forward here. Okay. Okay, next question is okay, this is from Raquel Buchanan. Raquel asks, should you limit the number of positions in your portfolio? Can you be over diversified? That's debatable, right? There are some people who believe that you can, like once you get above, say 25, 30 different stocks, you're over diversified. I tend to believe that you can have no shortage of good stocks. So I have a lot. If I told you that there was a max number you should have, I'd be lying to you. I'd be a hypocrite because that's not what I do. If I see a stock that the analysts really like and that appears to be something I want to be a part of, I'll go ahead and buy that stock. So, but you do get to the point where you can have so much diversification that, that the stocks are kind of connected. It's like one big blob and nothing really significant happens with your portfolio unless it's happening with the economy at large. But I think you can be over diversified, but I wouldn't. That's not nearly as bad as being under diversified. Under diversified is what you want to avoid. Okay, let me see here. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay. Hold on. Okay, next question is from Carl Von Roy. I'm looking to start an LLC. It says that I have to have a registered agent. Should I pay for a service or can I just name a family member as my agent? I don't know if I'd name a family member as your registered agent. I don't see why you couldn't do that per se, but I would go with either a registered agent service or maybe your accountant or lawyer can help you with that. But even things like Rocket Lawyer will offer you registered agent support. So I like to go the professional route as opposed to going the the kind of like do it yourself route. So but yeah, that registered agent is important, and yeah, they do ask you for a registered agent. I know personally I've never done a situation where I've just let my relative be my registered agent. I feel like that's kind of pushing a little bit. Let me think here. Blackmoney103.com. Blackmoney103.com is our entrepreneurship program. Attorney Nicole Compton's broken down a lot of that stuff, so you can feel free to go take a look there. All right. So next question. Oh, and actually, now that I think about it, in the Black Wealth Bootcamp, we did cover a lot of that already. We're going to cover more of that this week. So feel free to go to blackwealthbootcamp.com if you want to also take a look at what we've done so far and what we're going to do. I mean, everything's recorded, so you can keep that, for good. Okay, next question is from Virginia Plump. So if you're buying individual stocks, how do you know when you're diversified? The number, according to financial theory, back when I was in graduate school, was 22. Like, I don't know why the number 22 popped up, but 22 was the number that they said you needed to have on average to be fully diversified. Although, 20 is probably pretty good, 25, and maybe the rules have changed a little bit since now you have, a shift in the way stocks kind of operate and move. So I haven't read the latest academic literature in that topic, but if you're in 23 different stocks, you're pretty diversified. But then at that point, you got to kind of think about what you want to be exposed to. Some people want to be a little more exposed to certain things than others. Some people may want to have a little bit more weighting toward, emerging markets or toward China or something like that, or small stocks, or maybe they like a little volatility. I personally keep multiple portfolios. I have my super long-term safe portfolio. I have my short-term safe portfolio, and I have my short-term risky portfolio. That's where I mess around and make a lot of fast money, right? So, basically with my long-term safe portfolio, that's the money that Alicia and I use to retire into the sunset. That's what we're going to just build over time. My short-term safe portfolio is what I use as my bank. That means if my volatile portfolio has a problem and needs a margin call, or I need some cash, I can go into my short-term safe portfolio and get the cash that I need to do what I got to do. And then my short-term volatile portfolio is where I just have fun. That's where, I learned the advantages of having a PhD in finance and how that it can actually help you make money. So long story short, but nobody does it the same way. It really comes down to your style and your preference. One thing I don't suggest is having some portfolio where you say my whole life is going to change because I bought 10 shares of GameStop and I'm part of the rebellion. Like, that's not a long-term investing strategy. So you can participate in that, but that shouldn't be the majority of your investing process. I mean, you could do that. That's fine, but just know you're not an investor yet. You're a trader. Maybe you're a gambler, right? But you're not. That's not investing. That's not investing. Just make sure we know the difference. It's okay to do it. Just make sure you know what investing actually looks like. Investing, for example, might be where you can set it and forget it, where you can set it up, walk away, come back a year from now, and chances are your money has grown just because you've automated certain things. So that's what you want to have when you talk about investing. Philip Plump, is blockchain crypto market reporting to any agency or government? I think Coinbase has, is more deeply connected with regulators, but I don't think blockchain as a whole is connected to government, but it will be, because the government's not going to let that an economy that massive just operate, unencumbered. And a lot of times their excuse for intervention is safety. Like, we want to keep people safe. We have to protect consumers and all that. And really, they're government officials, so they're protecting themselves and their own money. You know how that works. Let's see, Damon Lynch, which animation software did you use to do the Black Millionaires of Tomorrow program? I have no idea. I do not remember. That was done by my team, and they did a great job, but I don't remember what it was. I wish I could tell you. But it's a good program. It's good for your kids. So feel free to take a look. It's blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com if anybody wants to take a peek at it. And I'm super proud of it. And we have had tens of thousands of Black children go through the program. And I say Black children because I built it for Black kids. I didn't create it for everybody. Not that I don't care about other people's kids, but I don't care about other people's kids. I'm not gonna lie. I care about Black kids first. And that's what motivates me and gets me out of bed in the morning. I don't get out of bed in the morning excited to go save the Asian community. It doesn't mean I hate them. It just means I'm thinking about myself and my family and my own and my community. And that's where my thoughts start first. And then if I have anything left over, then I can do something for other people. But I'd rather do something for you first. So there's the URL right there on the screen. Okay, next. Dr. Boyce, let's see. This is from Sean Brown. Dr. Boyce, if I wanted to give you a portion, give a portion of your stock portfolio to a Black charity upon death, what steps would you take to set this up? Please walk through the process, including if a lawyer is related, to accomplish this. Yeah, go see a lawyer, or I would suggest my legal advice is to get legal advice from a lawyer that can set you up with a trust. And in your trust fund, you can actually put it in the trust that you want your money to go to a certain place upon your death. So you can get you, some sort of revocable trust or revocable living trust. That's what they call it. And basically, it means that until you die, you can do what you want with the money. But once you die, somebody else is going to take it over, and it's going to be distributed based on what the trust tells you to do. So feel free to talk to a lawyer about that. Roy Carter, what do you think about writing options on FCEL? Roy, I wish I could tell you, brother, but I do not know that stock. There's so many thousands of stocks, and I know nothing about FCEL. So I apologize. I have no response for that question. So, but try again with something else. Janice Kirby, can I put personal home under my LLC when I purchase property? How can I put it under my LLC? Well, you can put your LLC can buy, a lot of stuff, but if you're doing it for tax purposes or something like that, two reasons I would imagine a person would buy property on their LLC. At least two immediate reasons would be either to add to the asset base and of the LLC and protect those assets, or B, for tax purposes. So if you if you do it for those reasons, then I can't imagine the LLC buying anything that isn't going to be used to benefit the LLC. Like, I think if you just decide, I want to get a pet giraffe, under the LLC of my accounting firm, I think the IRS is going to be like, what does a giraffe have to do with your accounting firm? Like, is the giraffe an accountant? Like, how does this work? So, I would almost say just be real careful. Like, when you get to the point where you're abusing the system, that's where people get in trouble. So talk to your accountant about it, maybe a lawyer or something like that, and then just make sure it works. And if you and your accountant agree that it works and they can account for it properly, then why not look into that? Corey Smith, hello. I wanted to ask you, when does the class start? Okay, I'm not sure, Corey, which class you're referring to. If you're talking about the Black Stock Market Program, we do Q&As every week, every Tuesday. And also we have actually, I was thinking about doing some private stuff, maybe on Clubhouse or something like that. I'm trying to figure out how that would be set up, but we mostly do like private meetups, and then the curriculum is already there. The Black Wealth Bootcamp meets every Thursday night at 8 p.m. And also all the recordings are available, and you have lifetime membership. So if you're, and there's a money back guarantee. So if you haven't taken a look at the Black Wealth Bootcamp, feel free to go take a look whenever you want to. There's the URL, blackwealthbootcamp.com. Okay, so feel free to go take a look. Some of you that are in here are in the bootcamp already. All right, so next question. Okay, let's see. Kale says, Doc, I was wondering if you can make a comparison graph of the benefits of each race has received since the civil rights era. Maybe we could use it to show the unfair disparity. Well, one graph, one place I would go to get those graphs might be a book like Black Labor, White Wealth, or Powernomics. In Black Labor, White Wealth, Dr. Claude Anderson, like, I have it open right here. And you see, like, here's one of the mini graphs he has in the book. I would check that book, because Dr. Anderson does a very good job of documenting exactly how badly other people have ripped off the Black community since the beginning of time, and how they continue to take from you to this day. And that's why we get involved with conversations about politics and things like that, because all politics, think about this. You talk about a racial wealth disparity. What it comes down to is an unfair allocation of resources, right? Resources are not fairly allocated. And so where does the allocation of resource take place? Well, in government, in politics. Politics is all politics comes down to is deciding how resources are going to be allocated. So that's why this conversation about wealth is inherently a political conversation. So in fact, I'd be curious to know, what is the definition of the word politics? Let me see. Politics is a set of activities that are associated with making decisions in groups or other forms of power relations between individuals, such as the distribution of resources or status. So there we go. So it comes down to a set of activities that are associated with making decisions in groups or other forms of power, aka powernomics, between individuals, power relations between individuals, such as the distribution of resources or status. So if you vote if you vote stupid, like if every time an election comes up and you throw your vote away, whatever that means to you, then you shouldn't be surprised when you don't have any power, because that's not gonna, it's not gonna work out for you. So let me keep going. Don't want to get into a political conversation today. Okay. Nisha says, absolutely loving the Black Wealth Bootcamp. Good. I was in the Clubhouse chat where you said the name of the woman who coordinates the scheduling of guests for your podcast. May I get the email? Fly newbie. Oh, I'd like to send the bio for the woman who's launching a private search engine, GotCon. Okay. Okay, great. So let me give you the email address of the person that books for my podcast. I do not have a lot of guests on my podcast, but I do have panels. So if you are a fit for a panel, I like people that have something to say, like if you're that really smart Black person that nobody knows about, it's great. I love to share messages from intelligent Black people to the world, because we got enough ignorance out here. The market for ignorance is flooded. So we're going over to a different market, the market for intelligence, because the market for ignorance is oversold. So if you're interested, the email is producer. Write it down, producer@flynubianmedia.com. Producer@flynubianmedia.com. Her name is Taryn, and I'm going to send you that email address, and so you can feel free to send over a bio if you want to come onto the podcast or be a panelist. I like to do panels. I don't like to do a lot of one-on-one interviews. I do a few, but I don't do that many. So it's because I'm not an interviewer. I just say stuff. All right. So Antoinette asks, I can't get in Robinhood because I live in the U.S. Virgin Islands. I opened Coinbase account and put in $4,000. The next day, I couldn't get in to buy. They said it was zip code, and the specialist will get back to me in 4 or 5 days. It's been 4 weeks, and nobody has gotten back to me. Not sure what to do. Yikes. So you've been sending emails and making phone calls and all that stuff. Antoinette, if that doesn't work, then maybe you have to contact the authorities or something. Because they took your money and they're not giving you your money back. I can't imagine why they wouldn't at least answer the phone or answer your email or something like that. Try to make a withdrawal, obviously. If you can't do that, then that becomes almost I wouldn't say criminal issue, but that's a problem because they have your money and they should be giving it to you. And so try to find a reputable company in the Virgin Islands that you can work with that isn't going to do something weird like that. That's very surprising. I'm very sorry to hear that. And I'm glad you're enjoying the boot camp. Monet Sanders says, what are your thoughts about investing in Tron, the decentralized virtual machine that was built to help usher in the decentralized internet? I have an investment in Tron, but I don't know much about Tron that distinguishes it from all the other cryptos. I think eventually the crypto market's going to thin out. I don't know. The problem is you don't know how it's going to thin out. So it's like the early internet. The early internet, nobody knew who the winners were going to be. And a lot of the companies that became winners in the internet were not the companies that were blowing up during the dot-com bubble. So the first wave in the dot-com bubble, a lot of those companies died. A lot of the leading companies at that time are gone. And the companies that are dominating now were companies that were small fish at that time. So nobody knows how crypto is going to play out. So I invest in about 20 different cryptos. Actually, if you go to drboycecrypto.com, you can actually see my list of cryptos that I'm invested in. So feel free to go to drboycecrypto.com. It looks like I'm trying to type this in and put it in the screen, but it won't let me because it says I have too many URLs up here. So let me see. Here we go. drboycecrypto.com. There we go. All right. So next question. Rachel, how do you gift or purchase stock for your children? I think the company I used to know about was called GiveAshare.com, but I don't know if GiveAshare is around. I think there's another company called ComputerShare. ComputerShare. Now I think they're based out of Louisville, where I'm from. I don't know much about it. I've never tried the company out. I'm not endorsing them. But also if you Google search like how to gift to share stock to someone else, some options should come up that way too, in case those two don't work. All right. Next question is from, and by the way, I'm answering questions from Ask Dr. Boyce. So if you want me to answer your question specifically with your name, go to AskDrBoyce.com, sign up, and you get access to all the questions I've answered, tons and tons of curricula, and 70% off. And also, when you submit your questions each week on the private list, I will answer your question and use your name, and I will answer it directly. So that's what I'm answering first. Okay. Michael Evans, do you manage your own portfolio or do you employ a broker to manage and advise you on investment decisions? As a beginner, is it recommended that we use professional advisors or do we do it ourselves? I do both. I have an investment advisor who really manages my whole wealth portfolio. He's a person that that can tell me what my net worth is now and what it was before, because he talks to my accountants and my lawyers, and they pull together all my assets so that, God forbid, if I go outside and get hit by a milk truck, he'll be able to sit with my family and say, okay, Boyce has money here, he had money there, blah, blah, blah. So screw him. He's dead now. So here's how he's going to distribute it based on these trust documents and whatever. Right. But, you know, really because of my background, I know more about finance and investing than he does, I imagine. I know I do, because we talk about stuff and sometimes I explain things to him, but that doesn't mean that he can't add tremendous value to what I'm doing, because sometimes you can't do it all by yourself a lot of times, especially when you get to where you're managing more assets and you got more going on. A lot of times the things that you could do on your own, you just don't have time to do it right. Right. So sometimes it's better to go ahead and pay somebody to do something. Even if you could do it yourself, it's better to pay it and delegate it, because then you don't have to worry about it. And then they're also going to be focused on that one thing, and you could go focus on something else. So just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. Now, if you're talking about beginning investors, you know, I'm a believer that you can actually kind of get started on your own until you get to the point where you feel comfortable enough to, you know, you got a little more money flowing. You know, some of y'all are making big bank. I mean, some of y'all, I'm telling you, some of you, I heard from some students. I heard from one student who told me he thinks he's going to make $100,000 last week from, you know, from all this chaos going on with E-Trade, and I was GameStop. I was real happy for him. So some of y'all have some assets. You have more assets than you had before, and I know that you do. If you've been doing a fraction of what we've been talking about for 8 years, there's no way on this earth that you are in this like terrible, like, woe is me, I'm black and I'm stupid and I can't make no money struggle. Like, that's all that struggle talk. We don't do that. You know, I want to do power talk, right? Because that's how you succeed. You can't get ahead with struggle talk. You can't get ahead with victim talk. Doesn't mean you couldn't be a victim. It just means that when you spend too much time dwelling on that, you're not going to move forward. So some of you have assets. I encourage you to understand that as your income grows, as your wealth position grows, your process has to change. Everything changes, from how you make your money, how hard what you're willing to do and not do to make money, to even who your friends are. To be honest with you, some people it may be a little tougher to be their friend because you got a little bit more at stake, right? I'll give you an example, real life example. T.I. and Tiny are in this weird situation where they're being accused of something crazy. I don't know if they did it or not. I don't even care, because it's their life, not mine. But I mean, I care. Like, if they did something bad, then of course you shouldn't do bad things to people. But you don't know. Who knows? But here's the thing. Let's assume that they didn't do it. Well, you know, when you're in this space where you're in this multi-million-dollar super famous space, you have to be real careful. Like, I actually met T.I. in Ghana, and talking to him was interesting because it was like you like, some celebrities kind of operate like almost like they have a force field around them, because every interaction becomes potentially devastating and toxic, because every single person that you talk to is going to remember that interaction. They're going to be like, yeah, I was in the grocery store with Will Smith one day, and he got the carrots and the bologna, and he yelled at the lady because she didn't calculate his bologna right at the cash register. Oh, he's such a jerk. He's such a prick. I'm going to go on my blog and talk about my meeting with Will Smith and how terrible of a person he is in the grocery store, right? So every little thing you do becomes potentially impactful. So you have to be real careful, right? So basically my point is, I'm using that extreme example to say that as your income grows and as your economic situation evolves, you're going to have to operate a little bit different. You're going to have to sort of think things through a little bit more carefully. If you have more assets, for example, people are more willing to sue you. Like Will Smith, for example, says he has to pay 15 lawyers. He has 15 lawyers on retainer all the time because he gets sued all the time for nothing, right? So basically, you just kind of have to learn different rules, because if you don't learn new rules, then what's going to happen is you're going to lose your money. So, you know, they say a fool and his money will soon part ways, and that's really true. So don't be a fool. Be smart. You're not a fool because you're here. If you were a fool, you'd be doing something else. But you're obviously in the talented 10th because you're listening to conversations like this on a Saturday. All right. So Sean Brown, Dr. Boyce, I have a credit call spread example. A company XYZ is trading at $30 a share. I sell a $32 call for a credit of $1.50, and then I buy a $35 call for a debit of 60 cents. Okay. The stock closes at $33 at expiration. Do I owe the buyer 100 shares? Okay, so you sold a call, which means that if the stock is over 32, if you sold the call at 32, then if the stock's at 33, then yes, you have to give them the shares for $32 a piece. But if you bought a call at 35, just remember that you can't execute on anything on that call because it did not end in the money. So basically, the fact that the stock price is between 32 and 35 means that, yeah, you do owe a share of stock, but that other option has expired worthless. So so there you go. So I hope that answers the question. Those of you who are completely confused by what we talked about, I have a stock options masterclass. You can feel free to take a look at if you'd like to learn more about options. Options are a really great way to calibrate your risk. Stock options are not, in my view, just something you should use for easy flips. A lot of people like to buy options because it allows you to put up a little bit of money and possibly make a lot of money really fast. But just remember, if they let you make a lot of money really fast, you can also lose a lot of money really fast. And also the ability to calibrate the trade and get just the right amount of risk that you want can be beneficial, and especially if the market gets more volatile or get on the other side of the trade. I don't buy a lot of options, but I sell a ton of them. Okay, so let's get back in here. Okay, next question is Donald Tyler. Do you utilize a crypto wallet? If so, what type do you use and why? No, I don't. Honestly, I keep my crypto on the exchanges. All my crypto friends get mad at me for that. They think I'm being stupid, but honestly, it's just because I just don't care. I'm a terrible person, I know, but that's just the truth. Let's see, Donald Tyler, but it is safer to have a crypto wallet. Just so you know, it is safer. Let's see here. Do I think Doggy Coin's going to hit $1? No, I think because it's plummeting. I think it's like down to, I don't know if it's 2 cents or something like that. Would you please offer classes in traditional mathematics like pre-calculus and statistics? I believe your outstanding teaching skill will create highly functional mathematicians within our B1 community. That's a good point. I appreciate the compliment, Donald. I'm hesitant. I've taught math before. I taught at the University of Kentucky, but that's really not something I desire to do. And also, honestly, I'm trying to work less. I do so much that I'm actually trying to slow down a little bit. So I don't think I'll be the guy offering that class. I appreciate that thought. But we're going to actually try to open up avenues for other people to teach and do more stuff, because I don't want to do everything. And I don't do everything on my own. We have a lot of great people here. Lene Javette, Julian Gordon, attorney Nicole Compton, a lot of really smart people that work with the Black Business School. So it's not just me anyway. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so Ben, hello, Doc. If I have $50K to invest in selling stock options, how many different stocks would you look to purchase each month? I don't know if you have to purchase each month. In my options portfolio, I have about 8 stocks that I sell options on every month, and that's how I generate my income. But my goal, I increase that number every time all of them are above a certain amount invested. I will go and find another one. I'll hunt another stock to add to the portfolio. So like Virgin Galactic, that's the last one that I added. And that's been a pretty good one to have in an options portfolio. How often does drboycetv.com air? I want to view tonight. Ask Barbara. It airs all the time. And there's probably, I swear I've probably done 10,000 videos in the last 8 years. So there's so much stuff out there that when I die, I will never be dead, because I'll have 100 years worth of content on the internet that you can all go take a look at. So remember that, there are classes you can take from me where we go deeper and you get more access, but you don't have to pay to be a part of what we're doing in the Black business. So if your money's tight, then that's fine. Don't worry about money. We get to that stuff later. But if you do have an opportunity or a desire to invest in your education, why not consider a Black institution where we know things white people don't know? We can teach you in a way that other people don't teach you. We won't put you $100,000 in debt. We're employing Black people, and our mission is your mission. Our mission is to make the Black community strong. All we want you to do is put us on the shelf with the same status that you give white universities. That's it. We have the same PhDs, the same law degrees, the same experts, etc. And I'm making that point because the challenge of having a Black-owned business or Black-owned university, because I believe Black people need to just occupy all of education. That's a multi-billion-dollar market. I think all education for all Black people, the majority of it should come from Black people, to be honest with you. But the hard part about a Black-owned business is that you get discriminated against in a couple of ways. You get discriminated against by white people. White people and Asian people, they don't mess with black businesses. They go to their own, right? But black people don't go to our own. We go to other people. So that's the second level of discrimination, where you're getting discriminated against by other people and discriminated against by your own. I talked to Andre. I forgot the brother's last name, but his name's Andre Odom. I believe that's his name. He's a really great sports agent. And one of the things he pointed out is that even though sports is dominated by black men, like we are literally the kings of sport in basketball and football, he said it's fascinating to him that, as a black agent, he's got to compete for the black athletes against all the white guys and the Italian guys and the Asian guys, all the other agents. But he can't get the white athletes. The white athletes won't sign with the black agents, but most of the black athletes will sign with the white agents. So what has to kind of happen is that process needs to be kind of analyzed a little bit so we can be a little more conscious about where the resources are placed. So I specifically stepped forward with the Black Business School to say our goal is to be around for 500 years. We have a 100-year plan for black economic domination. You're seeing it play out. We have rappers that now rap about investing in wealth and stuff like that. Now, black stock market participation is approaching the level of white people. And the reason that was important for me for a very long time is because I knew the secret. The secret is that the 1%, the reason that they become the 1% is because they all invest in the stock market. So I said, if I can get the majority of black people to see stock market investing as cool and relevant and important, then we're going to win. We're going to win. And your children are going to win. Because whatever we put our mind to, we always become the best at it. And now we're getting there. We're getting there. Especially now, like this week is so much fun because everybody's talking about it. And people that didn't even want to hear what I had to say before, suddenly they're calling me and asking me all these questions. And I'm so happy to talk to them. But we got a couple more steps to go, though. The next step we have to go through is helping people understand the difference between trading, which is rolling the dice like a casino, which is what a lot of people are doing right now. They like that fast money. They like playing the numbers. They like those fake, what they call them, not Ponzi schemes, but they're pyramid schemes, but the blessing looms and all that. Like people are quick to jump on that. That's fine. I don't care about that. But that's not the same as investing. And so I want you to just sort of know how to take that next step. So maybe this becomes the gateway drug, so to speak, where your pathway to power is, I started off in that whole crazy thing that happened with GameStop and I got involved and I made some fast money with AMC. But now I'm looking to plant a diversified portfolio that's going to grow over the long term so that while I still might participate in the exciting things that happen, those things are fun. There's no reason not to participate in that if that's what you want to do. I also understand that I have to have my safe money because the more you have in your pocket, your next obligation evolves into one of protection. You have to protect what you have. And that's that last stage of wealth is protecting the assets that you have as opposed to necessarily just going for new assets. Like think about it like sports. A team that's losing the game, that's 20 points behind, should play a very different strategy from a team that's 20 points ahead. Signal. It looks like I might have lost you guys for a second. Can you still hear me? Give me a yes in the chat if you can still hear me okay, because I literally just disappeared on the screen and I don't know what happened here, but I hope that you can still see me okay. Give me a yes in the chat if you can still hear me. Okay, I'm going to answer a couple more questions and then I'm going to go because I got to take a nap and then me and Alicia are going to go out and hang out with some friends. Yes, we are still living our life during the pandemic. I'm sorry. I know y'all think some of y'all get scared when I talk about us actually being happy and living life, but I don't care. This is not an opportunity for me to take more drugs and a vaccine. This is an opportunity for me to create a stronger immune system. That's what I'm doing. So I said, okay, let's be healthy. Let's eat the right foods. Let's do what we're supposed to do. Take our precautions, put on our masks, wash our hands, but we're not going to stop living. I'm sorry. Nobody tells us how to live, so that's just how we operate. So, it is what it is. Barbara, after watching the video with Gary McCummings, I must be involved in this mission. I'm in the right place. Never received such enlightened black content. Question 1, do you know Greenwood Bank? Yes, I do. I think that's the thing Killer Mike is working on. I like Killer Mike. He's a friend of mine. I respect the brother a lot, and I hope that it works out very well. I do not think that we just need banks in order for us to be economically strong, though, because banks are pretty much effectively just a pile of assets that you can draw upon to achieve specific goals. So I don't go to banks that often because our family has a bank. We own a bank. And basically, what's our bank? Our bank is a bunch of stocks and real estate and assets that we have that we can draw upon if we ever want to make a move. Now, is that the same as going out and getting a bunch of leverage and a bunch of debt? No, it's not. It's not as easy as, just borrowing money or whatever and hoping for the best. But I actually kind of enjoy not being deep in debt anyway. I'm not trying to go into real estate and, put down 10% and then, borrow the other 90% because I've seen what happens when economies crash. I like the peace of mind that comes with ownership, right? Like I enjoy paying off the car early. I enjoy paying off the house early. We just wrote the check to pay off my parents' house. My dad is older and my parents are older and stuff. And that was the thing they always wanted to do. So we literally this week just finished paying off their house. That makes us feel good. Sure, we could have mortgaged it and, got some more money and flipped it into this and this. But sometimes owning things can feel good, right? So I would encourage you to figure out who you are, where you want to be. Don't feel like, you're not taking enough risk. Just because you heard a real estate expert tell you that you need to go flipping and flopping and throwing money around and borrowing to do this and do that. No, maybe you want to be a little more subtle with it. Maybe you don't need as much. One thing I want to tell you about financial freedom that a lot of people don't discuss is that financial freedom does not mean that you're rich. Being financially free is not the same as being rich. It's just not. Being financially free means being free of the constraints that come with an unhealthy need or connection for money, right? An unhealthy need for money or an unhealthy connection is a little bit like a drug addict. Like you need it in order to feel normal. A drug addict needs the drug in order to feel normal and whole. So a person who is free from their drug addiction, if you want to call it that, they could say, well, if I just make sure I have plenty of cocaine around, then I'll never have any problems because whenever I want some cocaine, I got a big bowl of cocaine right next to the bed and I'm going to be okay. Yeah, but that's not exactly the healthiest way to approach the problem. Maybe the best way to approach it is to actually minimize the presence of that drug in your life. And then at that point, you can operate in a way that is free from sort of feeling the need to have access to that drug, right? So money is like a drug. Money affects your brain just like cocaine does. Actually, studies show this. Studies show that when you receive money, the same excitement you had this week when your GameStop stock jumped, tripled and you made a bunch of money, like that high you felt, how good you felt that day. Well, that's similar. That affects the hypothalamus or something, like the same part of the brain as cocaine does. So you literally were high. You were a crackhead this week, and money can form an unhealthy addiction for you. I know plenty of very rich people who don't know how to be happy, who can't be happy without money, who need to make more money. Now that they're making a lot of money, they're making $100,000 a month. If they make $60,000 that month, they're very sad, very depressed. And that's kind of a terrible feeling to know that you can make $60,000 in a month and be sad. But I know people who are in that position because they've become so deeply connected to the high of money. So always be conscious of that because it can really twist your brain around. I'm not kidding. Okay, so let's see here. So do I know Greenwood Bank? Yes, asked Barbara. 2, how about Webull for investing? I don't have a Webull account. I hear that they're okay. But they shut down just like Robinhood, I think. I think a lot of people were jumping from Robinhood to Webull, but I think the Webull CEO was defending what Robinhood did. Webull and Robinhood, I believe they operate in very similar business models, like that whole, commission-free trades in exchange for selling the order flow. So I don't see how they're that much different, but hey, maybe it's different. At the very least, not having all your money on one app allows you to be spread out and diversified so that you're not, stressed out because Robinhood won't let you do what you want to do. Like if you want to buy that stock, like I went in, I wanted to buy GameStop and I wanted to buy some options. So I went into E-Trade and while Robinhood was down, I bought some options on GameStop and I sold them 3 minutes later. And literally I made $2,000 in those 3 minutes because the stock was that volatile. But it was like, oh, okay, so it works over here. So don't ever get yourself stuck in one system anyway. Just like white supremacy. Sometimes the biggest solution you can find for white supremacy is to get out of a white supremacist system and to realize that that's not the only system you can operate in. That's not the only economic system you can operate in. You can't start your own business. That's not the only educational system you can operate in. We can own our own schools. You can educate your own children. That's not the only, system of media that we can consume. We have black-owned media that's out here. There are things you can do other than sit and watch CNN or some movie made by Warner Brothers that day. Like, you can actually go to Quayle TV and watch a black-owned movie. You can come to Dr. Boyce TV and hang out with me. Whatever it is, there's a lot of options out there. So a lot of times the best way to overcome a system is to get out the damn system in the first place. Just like a bad relationship, sometimes it's better to, instead of figuring out how to deal with some idiot that you're trying to love or trying to get to love you, go love somebody else. It'll probably be much easier that way. I probably ended some relationships with that comment right there. Got some of y'all reflecting on your life. All right, so let's see here. How can a sister get a tutorial of the blackbusinessschool.com page? That's a great question, Barbara. Well, on the blackbusinessschool.com, actually, we have specialists that are right there that can talk to you. So if you have a family wealth question or plan that you want to implement and put in place, you can go there. There's probably somebody there right now. Or you can also email support@theblackbusinessschool.com. That's support@theblackbusinessschool.com. And there's a team of specialists waiting to talk to you. We are absolutely obsessed with giving you everything you need in hopes that you will consider supporting us so that we can grow and build schools all over the world. That's what we really want to do. Stephanie Lloyd, I noticed that you did not complete all 7 steps of the first lecture on money mindset and ended at step 3, be the jockey, not the horse. When will we be completing the last steps of this lecture? Yeah, well, you know what? You're in the Black Wealth Bootcamp, it sounds like, Stephanie. So the last steps are, I broke it into pieces because we had just gone on for so long. I didn't want to try to have like a 4 or 5 hour lecture, but we are going to finish that. And also, if you go to the blackwealthbootcamp.com, all of the slides are there. All the lectures are recorded. And you have access to everything for life, you and your entire family. And you also have access to life for all future boot camps. So once you're in that club, you can literally give a free invitation to people in your family to join the club. All we ask you to do is don't exploit us. Don't rip us off. Like, don't go and like give access to 10 billion people or whatever. But if you want to bring your relatives in, your little cousin or your sibling or whatever, like, bring them in. The Black Wealth Bootcamp will change their life. I guarantee it. I know it's going to do that because I know what I'm doing. All right. So last question here is Marco Polo. Marco says, Dr. Boyce, I've invested in a cryptocurrency by the name of G999. I tried to attach the white paper so you could go over it. Just so you know, I'm not going to read the whole white paper. I haven't read a single crypto white paper at all. I didn't even like reading white papers when I was in academia, so I definitely don't want to read them now. I wrote white papers, but reading them was like watching grass grow. I tried to attach the white paper so you could go over it and maybe get some feedback, but I couldn't attach it. Yeah. So let me say this to you, Marco. I would talk to crypto experts about that. Like, I would look for people that, like, for example, there's a place that a brother came in, Token Metrics. That brother Ian, the brother that made $5 million from crypto, he turned $20,000 into $5 million, and he comes in a lot. And they do that type of stuff, and they make recommendations and stuff like that. And there's other people that do that. I'm not the guy. I'm not the guy to tell you that this crypto is better than that crypto because I'm not a crypto expert. All I can say is that I talk to people that know enough about crypto that I said, okay, this sounds interesting. I want to have my money in there. So, for example, when Ian came in, Ian said that he felt that Ethereum had a really powerful network. And because I like Ian and I think he's super smart, and because Ian made $5 million on crypto, he turned $20,000 into $5 million. I went ahead and doubled my investment in Ethereum because I think Ian is a worthy person to consult with. But that does not mean Ian is always right. It just means that I felt that what Ian had to say was good. So actually, if you want to see the crypto that I own, you can go right there to drboycecrypto.com, and there's a screenshot. You can feel free to go take a look if you so choose. So, okay, I'm done talking. I'm out of here. I hope you guys have a good day. And those of you who want to join the boot camp and get all the recordings and everything else, it's a lifetime membership. Feel free to go to blackwealthbootcamp.com. And it was fun talking to you. And I will see you guys real soon. And by the way, so if you want to ask these questions, I answer questions from those of you that submitted from askdrboyce.com. So if you want to send me your questions and I'll answer your question with your name on it, just go to askdrboyce.com, and there's just a ton of content there, and you get to send me your question. I will answer your question. So anyway, that's it. I'm out of here. Have a good day, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care.